entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Irina Aylyarova.
Welcome to the show. Finally, we have you on. It's been a minute. You haven't been on. So I've been always wanting to actually have you on. For those who don't know, I like to always go back to the beginning. The beginning kind of charts our trajectory, where we're going in life, the little habits that we pick up along the way. Tell the people a little bit about your childhood. What was that like? And how did you find your way doing the things that you're doing right now?
Wow, all the way to childhood, huh?
Oh, yeah.
You hit me hard. My childhood was, I guess, you caught me off guard. What about it? Like, I grew up in Tajikistan, Central Asia, the oldest of three, strict dad, a loving mom, strict environment. Girls kind of don't have a voice. You just seen and not heard. So grew up to be a good girl. So obviously a lot of internal battle, the experience versus what you're being told. Where are you in all of this? Not sure if I answered your question, but in a nutshell, that's my childhood. I always wanted to be a singer or an actor or whatever, but I was never allowed to do that because it wasn't for good girls.
Right. And so, but you already, you knew this growing up. Like, what were the steps that you take to going in that direction? I mean, obviously, everyone's like, don't do it. I'm sure you had some, I don't know. Did you have support at all?
Yeah, my husband.
That's awesome.
No, I mean, I think I had to find that support in me first and foremost. And that didn't happen until after 35. So that's when we moved to LA with my husband and started the journey of acting. But little did I know where it would lead me.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Very interesting. So, I mean, you're doing the acting thing. What now, for those that, are listening, the creatives, there's no right formula. It's just, you just kind of got to go for it, right? Is that what you kind of essentially did? You came to Los Angeles, you just hit the ground running?
Well, pretty much I started at a ground zero, maybe even negative, because I knew nothing about the industry. It was just a pipe dream, right? So, yeah, first thing was to move closer to the vicinity where everything is happening, right? And then you just kind of hope that one thing leads to another. That was my idea, I guess. And yeah, I just went into a so-called actor salon. That's where I started, just learning about the industry and all that. But again, I think, yeah, there's so many ways to get to it. I didn't have a formula. You create it as you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's trial and error. And you think you want to follow somebody in somebody's footsteps, but you can't because you're not living their life. So you kind of have to create your own path. And I think that's what it taught me.
Right. Yeah. You -5, you start, and then you just figure it out. You got to do, you write your own script, or right,
Mm-hmm.
which is something. What made you kind of say, I want to write my own thing and make my own content? What, you just kind of got to a point where you're like, well, I'm not going to sit by the phone and waiting longer. I'm going to create my own opportunities.
Many reasons. One, everybody's talking about it. Create your own content, create your content. That's how you get out, right? That's how you get seen. But also, I was inspired at the moment. Something hit me really hard because the story that I depicted was about a woman who comes to the US and the struggle she deals with. But for me, it was real. For me, it was very close to home and I saw it everywhere. So it just flowed. It just poured out of me. So, and I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to create my own content, I'm going to do something that I can relate to, that I know about, right? Right,
Mhm.
what you know. So yeah, that's how that came about.
Yeah, and that's how essentially we met from from that short. So everything
Yeah,
happened for a reason. Um, the
that's true.
casting part of that, were you involved in that process as well? I mean, you pretty much was hands-on with everything. You did everything essentially, mostly.
Yeah, it was another thing I wanted to experience. If I'm going to shoot my own film, let me put on all the hats and see how well I can learn from each one of those roles, right? So as I was writing it, I was in the community of actors because I was in an acting class, right? And e- I had the characters have already emerged. I already knew who would play whom, and that's who I doled it out to. So there really wasn't casting. I already saw personalities that would fit the roles, and so I just went with that.
That's awesome. That's a great way to like. I didn't audition. I got the role. Those are always nice.
Right.
Those are
Well,
always
when
nice.
you're in the community, you already know what the capabilities of certain actors are, and you trust them, and you've built a rapport, right? So it's easy.
Yeah, for sure. So you make that, and you've done some other projects and things like that. I've seen your real fast forward, and what made you kind of transition from the acting world into now something a little different you're doing that is more on the spiritual side, if you will. Um what what prompted that transition? Just curious.
Just my own inner work is what prompted it. I've always been digging deeper and deeper inside, and then people would tell me sometimes you do it to a fault. I mean, you and I would get into it, you know that. But but she's like, oh, don't I know it? But um, I think I was always seeking that. I just didn't know what it was or how to get there. So I thought acting was that way. And but I will say that I attribute a lot to acting because it helped me break down walls to understand who I am deeper because there was a lot to undo, right? All these things that are put on us by society, by upbringing and all that. So there was a lot to undo to see who I am.
Mhm.
And I'm still in my infancy in that, right? But I, that's when I realized, okay, I heard an interview and it was a numerologist and she was talking about a matrix, numeric matrix, and she taught how to do it, like how to count your own matrix. So I did that on myself. I was like, I'm curious what I'm going to learn about myself. And as I did that, I just couldn't stop. I kept writing out everybody in my family and just trying to figure out all these numbers. And it just hit me. I'm like, if I'm so curious about it, I think I want to take these classes and figure out more about myself. Because really, that's what I was doing, is seeking my own truth. What is it that's not letting me rest, so to speak? Because yeah, everything is fine. Everything is, I feel great. I'm a good wife. I'm a good mom. I'm realized I do what I love. Everything at home is wonderful. What is it that I'm missing? Why am I still feeling like something is just not there?
Mhm.
Well, little did I know it was my soul trying to talk to me and saying, hey, time to wake up and feed me. It's been a minute. But you don't know that. You discover that as you go. So to me, numerology is the spiritual tool that I acquired unknowingly because I went into it for learning more about myself. But as I was discovering more about myself, I also fell in love with the numbers and I understood that, hey, this is cool. I like it. It's more of me. connects me to how I like to talk to people, what, I bring to the table. And this tool is kind of rounded me out, if you will. So as I was submersed in numbers, all of a sudden I realized that acting is not a goal anymore.
Mhm.
And that surprised me. It
Yes.
surprised me and kind of scared me because to me it was end all be all. Like that was my final destination. So, but I had to listen to that voice. Now that I knew better, I needed to do better. And so I was like, okay, I have to, step away. I mean, we all do, right? A lot of actors go in and out of it because it's just what you do. It's a very demanding job. So sometimes you got to just step away from it and take a break. So I thought I gave myself permission to do that.
Yeah.
Step away from it and take a break. Take the time to learn this tool, see where it leads you. And so, yeah, I started consulting. Um, and I've been consulting ever since. And, it's been quite the journey. It's been fun when I say fun, it is really deep work. People come to me not only out of curiosity, but also for really understanding who they are, what they're made of. And this tool, the numerology, is a great tool to do this in a very short period of time. Like if somebody wants to come and unpack themselves, this is a speedy way to do that because you get to learn so much about yourself, what you're made of energetically, and how you get instructions to your own operating manual and within how you
Mhm.
can bring your minuses into pluses, how you can understand what your anchors are and how to carve them out and use that into something more productive in your life, so to speak.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's incredible. And so, you know, how does one get into that? Did you take any courses, classes? Like how long?
Yeah.
So
Like I said, I heard the interview. I liked what I heard from that numerologist. She's in Russia
nice.
and she gives online classes. So I decided to, again, the way she does it, it's more like a hero's journey. That's
Gotcha.
another thing that resonated with me. So you go on the hero's journey to learn about yourself to as deep a degree as you want.
Okay.
Like this is your own work. I'm here to facilitate the environment
Okay.
and teach you about what numbers represent. You do your own work. So it helps you grow up kind of. It helps you understand where you're still in an infancy, where you're becoming more of a self-sustaining unit. All of these things, you get to look at yourself truly and honestly, put away all the fluff, and deal with who you really are, with all the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Mhm.
The shadow self, the light self, you're no longer sitting there oh, this isn't me.
Right, right, right.
But
Right.
and on the contrary, you're like, oh, and that's me too. I
Mhm.
too do this. I can be like that too. And it's empowering because you're no longer running from it. And when you are able to, I heard this today and I really loved it. When you are able to put your vulnerability on the table,
Mhm.
it no longer has its hold on you. You're no longer vulnerable to a point where somebody else can knock you off your feet. And I love that. To me, that's empowering. And for as long as I remember myself, I've always been an empowering one.
Mhm.
That's just been in my core. That's just what I love to share with women, especially because it seems like we women need it more so. So, and that came natural to me. And I think I was looking for how do I use my natural ability? So, this numerology is a great tool for me to be able to express myself because in it, I'm just being myself. I'm offering what I can offer in the best way, and it resonates with people. And when I resonate with others, it fulfills me, it satisfies me, it makes me expand. So it's a very beautiful collaborative experience from which both come out fulfilled.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love that. That's a wonderful journey that you're on. I mean, the fact that you're helping a lot of people, um, is you're serving, which is awesome.
Yeah,
And I'm sure that
I
feels
do feel that I am serving. Yes.
yeah.
That is soul services is how I call it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I love that. So I mean you also offer classes, right? And individual like sessions as well. On you have a website.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make sure we put it
It's
so
my first name, my last name.com. Very simple.
so definitely go get you.
It still has my acting stuff on it too, but it's like I wanted to represent all of me. So it's got the meditation, it's got the numerology, it's got the acting, the books I read, all of the little bits and pieces of what I'm made up of. I mean, not all, but you know. So I try not to kind of put myself into one category or another. It's like this is all me. And so I
Yeah.
want to express all of it in different timelines in my life.
And I think that's what actually my question was going to be. Was that you said something earlier about you thought that acting was the way at one point. Do you feel like the way is many things at this point of your life?
Ah, well, I can answer it two ways. And one way, if do we feel like the way is many things? I think we only have one way,
Mm-hmm.
but on that way, we acquire many things. And it's up to us if we decide that we want to juggle all of these balls, if you will, and expand our way with it, or if we want to just focus on one or two things. I think we live in the times where delving into multiple different things is not only fun, but it's also becoming a way of life. And so for me, that's my way, you know?
I
I don't
love
know if
that.
I answered your question, but
That's a great answer. I love it. I love it. Now, so what would you say is like for someone that, is listening to this and they're like, I do want to take a session, but they're a little afraid. What would you tell that person? Like,
it's funny because most are afraid. And
yeah.
that's interesting to me. It's like, I think it's a lot of times confused with divination or fortune telling,
Hmm.
which it's not. It is algorithms. Your birth date is your algorithms that you get to decode
Yeah.
to understand. Again, like I said earlier, your numeric makeup, your energetic makeup, your character traits, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like somebody is telling you your instruction manual of what you're made of, and in order that you operate yourself better.
Hmm.
So it's not like I'm going to say something like, oh, you're going to die in 2028 or whatever. It's nothing like that. And I think that's what people fear is like, what if I'm going to find out something I don't want to know?
Oh, okay.
But if you talk to anyone, everybody loves to know about themselves, especially when you tell them from outside looking in. And
Hmm.
that is this service. I get to tell you what you pretty much already know in a way, but I get to come at it from your numbers and what these numbers represent, how these energies get to play out in a negative way. In a there's two negative ways. Either you're in in a trauma with your energies, or you are compensating for something, or
Hmm.
you can be in a positive way where you have resolved whatever issues you may have, and you are now using all this resolved potential and using that as a fuel to be productive with it in your life. So really that's what this service offers is that insight to, hey, how can I learn who I am better and use that information to be the author of my own life?
Yep. No, I love that. And I think that's great. And I think you're right. People do feel like it is some type of like witchery. So, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh no, what are you doing? But when you told me about it, and I was like, oh, this is very interesting. It just, the more you know, right? The more you know. It's just about, not judging it, but hearing it from yourself. It's and how you share, this information. It's like, okay, I understand.
Well, even if we talk about you, I believe the person has to be ready.
Right.
Because if you come and you're not ready for this information, A, you're going to waste your time and mine because you're not going to hear that which is meant for you to be revealed. So don't waste your time. You do need to be ready. It has to be almost like a, a need.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to delve deeper. I have to understand something, it's that. So people who come to me, some do come out of curiosity. I do agree. But that's for them. It's fun. But still they come out of it saying, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how insightful that was. But
Right.
those who come with a need
Yeah.
definitely come out of it changed. Definitely feel like, okay, I have just bathed in, I've just taken a breath of fresh air
Yeah.
and I can breathe easier. It's that. So even for you, we talked about it for a while before you said, all right, I'm ready to try it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you have to be ready for it because otherwise it's just going to be futile because
Right.
it's a lot of information. It can get overwhelming maybe, but only in a sense that, oh wow, there's so much to absorb. Um, there are so many insights, and it's like you obviously you want all of it to find its place and settle in right away, which
Right.
isn't the case. You're going to need to take time. But this is why we record sessions. I
Right.
always offer audio recordings because the information just will keep on revealing itself every time you listen to it. And as you evolve, as you absorb it, when you listen to it again, you're already on a different playing field. So you're hearing it in a different mode. So you are again learning more about yourself, even though they're the same words, even though you've listened to it so many times, but it keeps unpacking. And
Right.
that's the beauty of this tool.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Before I have a fun question for you. If you could actually sit down with any famous person and do a session with them, who would it be and why?
There's so many, my goodness.
I know.
I don't know who Adam Sandler comes to mind.
Sandler, of course. How did I know? How did I know?
Probably because he is funny, but in a fearless kind of way.
Mm,
Like to me, he has a very unapologetic approach to his work to where it's like, I don't care what you think, I like it. It's kind of like how I receive him.
right, right, right.
So that's probably why it would be, I don't know. I never thought of it that way, like who I would want to. Honestly, yeah.
Well, hey, that's a good person to have on the list. Aim high.
Maybe because he's Jewish.
I was literally
I
thinking, I was
don't
like,
know.
maybe because he's Jewish, the Jewish brother and sister comes together. That'd be great. That's
Yeah, I
so
don't
great.
know.
I love it. I
I don't
love
know.
it. That's a good one. The three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. And if you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Respect.
Okay.
Because when you have respect, it's a relationship. A relationship goes a lot further than money and power because with power, people receive you out of fear, not necessarily because they want to, right? So you can impose on someone with power. With money, you can buy someone. So in both, there is disingenuine interaction. Whereas in respect, you have the true relationship. People are in it because they want to be in it.
Yeah,
So that's why.
it's a great
To
answer.
me, it's all about being genuine, authentic, and real as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. Has there been times in your journey, like in any step, any like even if it was years ago or even now, or moments where you kind of get, I don't know, just down in the dumps, kind of feeling a little stuck, not motivated, and you're like, what am I doing? And if you've been
Yeah.
in those moments, how do you get out of those moments?
I was in that moment when I discovered numerology
Okay.
because I felt like I said, I felt like everything is seemingly okay, but I'm not okay.
Hmm.
And I almost felt guilty for feeling this way because I was telling myself, girl, what is your problem? Everything is fine in your life. What are you unhappy about? That's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, which is why, again, I appreciate the tool even more so because that is what led me or helped me understand why we get into those dumps. It's inevitable. We're all going to get there. Um, but when you understand it, that those ebbs and flows are part of life and you can see it in your numbers. The numbers can tell you which uh, energy is ruling your year, so to speak, right? So sometimes you are more motivated and more eager to get things done. It's because you are in those energetic years that demand that of you. And then other times when it's typically seventh, eighth, and 9 years, and then 9 year cycles, those are the years where you're going to question everything and feel like something isn't quite working, like everything is slipping through your fingers. You don't know how to hold on to things. Your world is crushing.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's what it feels like. But in reality, you are going through a cleansing period where you are letting go of that which no longer serves you
Yep.
and making space for bigger, greater opportunities and you yourself. But if you're going to fight it, if you're not going to want to accept it, not only are you going to make it more difficult for yourself, but you're also wasting that precious time to understand what it's trying to give you. So you're missing your gifts, really, that
Right.
are laid out in front of you, but you don't want them because you have your own agenda.
That's true. Yeah.
So it's about, it humbles you. It helps you understand, it leads you to your inner peace,
Right.
but you want to go there willingly.
Exactly.
Nobody is going to drag you there. The door is open. You can walk in, but whether you walk in or not, that's your decision.
That's so true. That's real. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. You're right about that. Um,
And it gets scary.
I
It does
bet.
because you feel like, what if it's the wrong door or whatever, right? Because it's easier to go on the path that you already know because it's familiar.
And then but it's comfortable because you know it.
Well, yeah, at least you know what to expect. It's when you are met with uncertainty,
Mhm.
that's when you're truly tested, I believe. Are you able to let go and let God, right? Or are you going to hold on and think that you are mightier than thou?
Right.
So, yeah,
Choice is
to each their
ours.
own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What advice would you give to someone that, not just want, like, just whether there's somebody who's listening and they're coming from the artist part of them and they want to get in the business, or they just want to even just give this road, what you're doing, a try, the spiritual you know um path, a try. What would you say to that person listening?
I think all three demand honesty with yourself, and honesty with yourself demands being brave enough to look at yourself honestly without running away from what you're made of, with all your, like I said, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Oh yeah.
whether you want to go into artistry, whether you want to come to one of the sessions, or whether you want to look at yourself internally. All of these three components demand of you that same thing, because you cannot do it without having made peace with the fact that unless you are willing to be blunt with yourself, I'm going to use that word because blunt is kind of like, nobody likes it. It's uncomfortable. But that's what it takes in order to take a look inside, assess, and not cover it up with a pretty picture, because that's what we all do. So when you are brave about stepping into who you are, you can do a lot. I can talk about it and philosophize it all day long, but I'll leave it at that.
Very true. Very true. Where can people find you on social media to follow everything you got going on?
I'm on Instagram. I share some of my stuff on TikTok, Facebook, but mainly Instagram and TikTok, I would say.
Okay.
And then there's a website. They can reach out from there too.
Nice. Is there a quote or anything that stays with you throughout throughout your entire life that you can, like, you literally, when you think of this thing, it just puts you in a good mood automatically? Is there a quote or a saying that someone's ever said to you that just resonates with you, that you love?
Well, there are a lot, but the first thing that comes to mind now is whether you can or you can't, you're right. And that's the motto I try to live by.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure talking to you, having you on.
Pleasure is all mine.
And
Thank you for having me on. It's been a minute. It's been a long time coming.
We made it happen. We made it happen.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you all for
Namaste.
Thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.